So, I've had the FIMI X8 Mini since, the latter part of April this year. Okay, got about 120 flights into it. And so, when we originally got it, it was a disaster. And slowly but surely, it's gotten a little bit better. So we're going to look at that as well. Okay, you might notice here I've got a nice little case. Okay, I'll put the link in the description below. $10. Okay, not bad, not bad. Holds everything. And I did get some extra batteries, but everything is in here. Okay, there's a battery in the drone, 2 extra batteries, the controller with the sticks on, my landing gear, and I'll put that in the description below. Okay, my landing gear, and the drone. Let's just take the drone out here. There we go. And we'll open it up. We go the front and the back, and the front and the back. And I clip on the landing gear. There we go. Okay, so we have the FIMI X8 Mini. Okay, I still get emails and I still get comments from people that can't even get the craft in the air from just opening the box. Okay, and this is one of my pet peeves about the FIMI organization. There is no instruction. Their user manuals don't even tell you how to get it flying. They tell you the general idea, but they don't give you the step-by-step for the novice. So here we go. If you go back to my original series on the FIMI, and I've probably got almost 35 or 40 videos through the series, you'll see I mention a lot about cables. Okay? Now then, once you get it out of the box, the plug on the battery is a USB-C. The plug underneath is a micro USB. To charge the battery, you use the USB-C. You can disconnect the battery, charge it by itself, or you can charge it in the drone. I prefer to do it by itself. You plug it in to a block charger using the cable provided or any other cable. A light turns white, and when the light goes out, it's charged. Another pet peeve, they can take over 2 hours to charge. So can the controller. Okay, 2 hours. Let's look at this controller. The controller also has a USB-C port. The only micro USB is on the back of the drone. You use this, plug it into your computer, but first have your battery installed, plug it into the computer, turn the drone on, and you use the micro USB. That opens up a folder in your computer, as long as you're using Windows. It's another peeve. And you can get the black box files off of this. And the black box files are the diagnostic files that you could send to FIMI if you had a problem with your flight. But I digress. We've just opened the box, and we've plugged in the battery, we're charging it up, the light turns white, it goes out, it's fully charged. Same with the controller. USB-C, plug it in, the lights flash. When the lights go out, it's fully charged. Okay? To turn the drone on, it's like a DJI drone and some other ones, it's a double click. It's a click and a press and hold. You'll hear the chimes and you'll hear a beep. So now you've got your battery charged up on both items. Okay? You have to use the provided cable given to you by FIMI. This is the end that goes into your phone. This is the end that goes into the controller, right there. Okay? Plug this into your phone. Be sure debugging is turned on your phone. Go to the settings, about phone, and sometimes you have to tap that 5 times to get into developer settings, turn on debugging. Okay? So you have to have debugging turned on the phone. Again, I digress. You download the app, the Navi Mini app. Now on the box, when you open the lid and you get your FIMI, there's a scan code. That scan code is for the latest version of the app. Okay? Don't go to the App Store. Use the scan code in the box to get the latest app update. So now you've got the update. Start the app, you sign in using your email address, your account, whatever, and you're activated. Okay. So you know it works. So get out of all that. Okay, so now you've just turned your phone on and nothing's activated. Okay? You plug in that. Do not plug this in. You open the controller, put your phone in, and the wire will be hanging. Okay? First thing, and the order is important. If you go back to my earlier videos, the order is important. You start the controller, double tap, hold, it beeps, it's starting. Okay? Then you go to the craft, okay? Remove the gimbal cover. It's delicate, okay? Be very careful taking it off because you can, I wouldn't say damage, but you can interfere with the gimbal mechanism. And I'm seeing a few now that are having some gimbal issues, and it may or may not be to the fact that they're a little bit rough putting this on and off. So you have to be very careful, okay? And it goes on and everything is flush, okay? And sometimes, there we go, it's flush, okay? I'm always very delicate with it, very careful, okay? So you've taken the gimbal cover off, okay? The controller is working. Now you turn on the drone, okay? Be sure you're outside, you're not where there's any interference, you know, you've got 20 meters around you, whatever. You double tap this. If you press it once and release, it shows you 4 lights if the battery's fully charged. To turn the drone on, you push and click again and hold, and you'll see a yellow light come on and the chime will sound. You put it down, facing away from you. So say we're here, okay? The rear light will flash yellow, okay? You've got this turned on. After about 10 or 15 seconds, the red light will appear momentarily, and then a green light will appear, and the green light will flash slowly. Once that green light is flashing slowly, everything's okay. You can now plug in your phone. So it's in here, you plug it in. It will automatically start the Navi Pro app, okay? If you do it any other way, like if you plug it in first, start this, then start this, it may work. And some devices, it may work. Through all my testing, sometimes it causes a problem. Sometimes the app will freeze. Sometimes you'll get no video feed. Sometimes it won't connect. But if you do it this way, start the controller, start the drone, wait for the green flashing light, then plug your phone in. It'll start up every time, and your freeze-ups and problems will be minimized. Okay? Got a bunch of notes here. So that's that. Once you've done that, you have to calibrate everything, okay? So you're going to calibrate the compass, calibrate the gimbal, calibrate the radio control, okay? You go into the settings and the menus, they're all there, you do it. Funny thing about calibrating the compass, so you're outside, the instructions that are in the user manual, A, they're not there, or if the directions in the app, they sometimes work. They work better in an iOS system rather than Android, and I only use Android. But the diagrams and instructions for compass calibration, don't worry about them. All you want to know is when you push compass calibration, a diagram comes up and it says calibrate, and you're ready to calibrate. Now we would pretend that this is off. Disregard whatever you see on the screen. It says calibrate. You hit calibrate. This is already turned on, okay? You pick up your drone and you go clockwise 4 times, okay? Just turn it 4 times clockwise. And you'll notice that the light at the bottom doesn't change color. No, still green, okay? Then, after 4 turns, don't look at your phone, just turn it up. As soon as you turn it up, the light will change, okay? And you turn 4 times. Not looking at my screen, just turn 4 times. Then you'll notice it says calibration successful, and you're done. Between calibrations, every calibration you do, turn everything off and turn everything back on again, okay? Next would be a gimbal calibration. Put it on a dead level field, dead level board, horizontal, vertical, level. Do a gimbal calibration. Do the automatic one, it's better. If you have a problem, you can manually calibrate it, and there's, in the advanced settings, you can do that. I'm not gonna, I've got videos on that, and other people got videos on that, but do a gimbal calibration. The automatic one is okay. If when you fly out and you notice that the horizon is off all the time, then bring it back and do a manual gimbal calibration. And we found that changing the R axis, there'll be 3 or 4 options there, the R axis to minus 0.6 on the R axis levels everything out really good, if you have a problem, okay? That's a manual gimbal setting, okay? But do your gimbal calibration. Next, turn it off. Turn it back on again. Reboot everything. And each time you do this, don't leave your phone plugged in. Don't leave the app running. Unplug it, start all over again, okay? Next, you're going to do a radio control calibration. With that, you don't need this running, okay? It'll tell you if you have the drone running to shut the drone off. And a RC calibration is basically following what's on the screen, where you're going to push the sticks up and down, left and right, and you're going to rotate your dial. And it's going to be done. Then again, you shut it down, everything's unplugged, you start again. Start your controller, start your drone, it's not plugged in, wait for the green light, plug it in, the app will start, you're ready to go, you get your video feed, now you just have to wait for satellites, okay? Satellites below 13 will give you an orange indicator. As soon as it hits 13, it'll go to white, and you're ready to go. I always wait for it to go to white, which is 13 satellites, okay? So that's about it for a boot up, for starting right out of the box. Follow all that, and you won't have any problems, or you'll have less problems, let's put it that way. It took me a month to figure that out, all that. Tons of experiments, tons of testing, tons of sending black box files to FIMI, tons of problems with hovering, with toilet bowling, with hover displacement, with glitching, all kinds of things. And then everything got figured out. There you go. The only calibration you cannot do, there's two of them, is an IMU calibration, the internal magnetism, the gyro, if you like, okay? That has to be done with the support of FIMI engineering, or FIMI support. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I just recently had to do it. They had to activate my app remotely, and I was able to do it. The second one is an IMU for the gimbal, okay? And that's a whole other process that FIMI has to walk you through and how to do. Basically what you're doing is you're doing an IMU gimbal calibration, and you keep the cover on, and you may have to put a little bit of foam in there, or tissue paper or something to hold it, but FIMI will tell you how to do that. I've never had to do that yet, but if you have a problem with the gimbal and you know it's not full of dirt or dust, then you're fine. One other thing I should mention, when you get your drone and you take the cover off for the first time, look really close at that lens. There is a film sticker on it. Take the film sticker off, but don't think that it's going to be 100% clear. There's an issue called spotlighting. Some people call it vignetting, which is the cloudiness on the outside or the brightness in the center of videos and pictures. Well, once you take your film off of the lens, get some liquid lens cleaner, contact lens cleaner, whatever, okay? And give it a good clean, and then clean it with a lens cloth and dry it up. Do the same with the sensors on the bottom, okay? I'm sure it does make a difference, and that's very important. Clean the lens after you take the film off, okay? Looking at my notes, that does it for about that section. Next, we're going to get into, not a first flight, but when you do take a first flight, be careful. Have an open space, 30 meters, 40 meters or so, and just practice raising it off the ground, lowering it left, right, back and forth, just to get the feel of it. Use a whole battery. Just go around your yard or whatever. Don't go off 500 meters, 2 kilometers to try and find out, okay? Okay. Hope that was informative. It was long-winded. Now we're going to get into the next part, okay? Let's go. Okay, the next part. You've been flying your drone, and it flies reasonably. It flies, and you've tested the return to home, and it comes home, and you've done some videos maybe, and you notice some differences when you change your frames per second. Well, I was back and forth with FIMI on this one, and apparently every video setting and picture setting there is, whether it be one-click video, whether it be a drone, whether it be an orbit, whether it be time-lapse, or whether it be HDR, you have to do your due diligence, because every video mode, basically what you can say is it has its own settings. So let's just have a look at a few of them here, okay? I'm going to put them up here. The first one, my first slide, I got my notes here, is the difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. Notice how the 60 frames per second crops the image in significantly and also darkens things up, okay? So there's a significant difference. So once you go into these different modes, be aware that values can change. Exposure values, they can change, okay? For me, I've noticed that changing your metering on all of them to average, the default is center. If you change it to average, it gives a little bit better representation, okay? So the next slide here, we have the difference between a video at 30 frames per second and a picture taken, okay? And you'll notice that the picture is slightly darker than the video. So if you're putting a video together and putting pictures in the video, just be aware of that. So there's some post-editing to be done there, okay? Next, we're going to look at 4 different examples. We've got a snapshot taken from using video, a drone, an orbit, and time-lapse. The most drastic is time-lapse. It really darkens things up. But one of my last videos was how to do a time-lapse, and FIMI has some work to do on that one, okay? It creates a file 100 times bigger than it should, and it's mediocre at best, okay? So right now it's not working 100%, okay? So that's that one. The next slide is the difference between, and this is in your color settings, I believe, between auto, cloudy, shadow, and sunny. They're not very good. They all, except for auto. Auto is probably your best bet, and if you really want to get into it, do it manually. Change the EV values, change your shutter speeds and all this kind of stuff, or whatever, okay? They all give a yellow tinge. If you go into the other lighting, it like greens and blues. I mean, bright fluorescent blues. It's ridiculous. So just be wary. Every setting has something different. Don't expect it all to come out the same. Common sense. And this is what FIMI said. Do your own due diligence. It's not like a DJI where everything is precisely the same. You have to kind of manually manipulate things, okay? Hence the price point. But don't get into that because I have a huge issue with the price point, okay? So we've got into that, okay? So just be wary. When you're taking a video, look at your screen, even though the screen is not the best, because the video feed coming back isn't 1080p. So you may not get all the details you want, but look at your screen, make sure your brightness and contrast and everything is set properly. Well, you can't set contrast, but make sure your exposure values are right, and you'll have a much better success rate, I guess it is, okay? So that's it for the differences in videos and what they come out like, and color matching and all that kind of stuff. So on with the next one. Okay, the next section here, I got a huge amount of backlash when I posted this back in the beginning of May, middle of May, somewhere like that. I called it my ABC list. Now the ABC list was originally put up like a joke or a satirical viewpoint. Somebody posted something somewhere on Facebook, and I kind of answered, well, there's A, there's B, there's C, and then it just got out of hand, and I went through the whole alphabet, okay? I got a huge amount of flack for that, okay? But anyway, I've revised the ABC list over the last 4 months, okay? And if you go back into my videos and see the original one, these are the items that are still an annoyance and still a concern that has not been addressed. And apart from the fact that there's absolutely no instructional videos out from FIMI that are of any use, their user manual is flawed with over 50 errors or misinterpretations. So it's really been a struggle to reinterpret the translation of a translation. It's confusing. But anyway, my ABC list. Let's have a look here. Okay, one of them, proprietary cables. For some reason, FIMI changed the wiring of this end of the cable. Once it leaves this end and goes to that end, it's a normal connection. And I have a video about that, about cables. If you get an adapter to go on the end of here, you can have as long of a cable as you want, but you can't have a USB-C to USB-C or Lightning or micro, whatever. You have to use this and an adapter to get a longer cable. So if you want to use this with a tablet that you had to plug in the other side, you'd have to use this cable and an extension. You couldn't put the extension right into here. It does not work. It's proprietary. I found that out on day one. Originally, FIMI said they were going to come out with extended cables, 30 centimeters, whatever. They never did, and they're not. Okay? So proprietary cables, big issue for me. Okay? Next one, proximity flying and hovering. They've always had a problem with getting the GPS lock so it would hover in place, and it may wander half a meter at most, or 0.1 meter. I think in the book it says 0.1 meter. It may hover that much, but it shouldn't slowly drift forever and then come back or go up or go down, but it does, okay? Sometimes. If you notice it radically going around in a circle, they call that toilet bowling, bring it down. Do a compass calibration, turn everything off, close everything down, start again. It should not do radical movements. Originally, it did, even with a compass calibration. It was not stable at all. And then through updates, it got better. Now, since the beginning till now, this thing's gone through over a dozen updates. Okay? Right now, we're on camera update, what is it? 2011C, and firmware 1014G, and RC relay 3003A. So they're the latest ones. And I must say, they're not bad. Even the camera 2009C wasn't bad. And that's a real independent flavor, I think. I'm not unhappy with the new one. I did like the 2009C, but the 2011C, it's okay. I don't notice much difference. The big difference I noticed was, for whatever reason, it used to have a gimbal drop. You point the gimbal up, and you start forward, it would drop. Now, with 2011C, the drop is not as much. So, depends how you fly. Not many people fly looking up the sky, but you can do it if you go really, really slow. Okay? There's that one. Spotlighting effect. I did mention that with the lens and turning on to average metering, but depending on if you're using 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second, you'll notice spotlighting, okay? You'll notice a lot more spotlighting with 60 frames per second than you will 30 frames per second, okay? There you go. Horizon issues. Originally, it was horrific. I mean, absolutely horrific, or that way, whatever, okay? And you do a gimbal calibration, go back out, oh, it looks great. The first time you yawed, it would be off again, okay? Or you'd go out, do a return to home, and the gimbal would flipper all over the place, okay? All kinds of issues with the gimbal. The horizon issue, it's an annoyance, okay? I've had relatively good luck so far with a manual gimbal at the R-axis minus 0.6. And with the last update, I did an automatic gimbal, and it's not too bad. It goes off once in a while after maybe 10 flights, and then you do a yaw rotation, it comes back. It's not perfect, but it's 1,000% better than it was, okay? So if the automatic gimbal doesn't work, try the manual. If you have flipper and all this kind of stuff, or you get an error message that says gimbal can't calibrate, or gimbal stuck, or gimbal blah, 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 okay? Get a hold of FIMI, ask them for the IMU gimbal calibration tool to be enabled. Go through that. So that's still an annoyance. The video feed is low resolution. Yes, it is, okay? It's not 1080p, and I might have my doubts at 720, but seeing detail in your feed, and I have a Samsung 9 Plus, which is a decent size phone, it's hard to see detail, okay? So the video feed isn't the greatest. I understand why, because they have to suppress CPU usage, conserve heat, etc., etc., etc. So to get this under the 250 mark, that's another issue, but with the Pro battery, to get it under the 250 mark, you have to cut corners somewhere. So you're going to have, you can't produce all the heat by using the full CPU power. You've got to dissipate heat, you've got to cut plastic and weight, all that kind of stuff. So I understand that, but having a mediocre feed coming back, it's an annoyance, still is, okay? Connectivity and reconnectivity, reconnections. You'll go out and you'll fly and you return home, all of a sudden you lose connection. You're either going to lose connection from the video feed, or you're going to lose both, video and controller. It'll come on home, but it won't connect again. And it'll come down and land. It won't connect again. Okay? The easy solution for that is, if you notice that and you know it's within 100 meters or it's up there and it's coming down, unplug your phone, plug it back into the radio controller. 99.9% of the time you'll get the video feedback, okay? That's still something to be looked at. It does have a connection issue once it goes out, sometimes not even a kilometer. As soon as it turns around, because of the antennas in the front, it loses that connection. Since the last update, it was a little better, okay? Now, some people using iOS phones have a lot worse connectivity issues than Android. Don't know why, just my theory. There you go, okay? Compass calibration instructions. Yeah, that's still a faulty thing, okay? When you do your compass calibration, don't care what it says there. Oh, it'll turn red, it'll turn green, turn this way, whatever. Don't look at that, start it, turn it 4 times clockwise, point it up, turn it 4 times clockwise, put it down, it'll say calibrated. End of story. Next one, the orientation diagram at the bottom left of the screen. It's more dependent on your phone than it is the app or the radio controller, okay? There are ways of calibrating your phone compass, doing the figure 8 thing and all that kind of stuff, but it's hit and miss. It's hit and miss with the orientation diagram in the bottom. I love it, it's great, it tells me my pitch and all that kind of stuff, and it tells me the map is great, and you can go into satellite and all that kind of stuff. That's great, okay? If you don't have data on your phone, you're going to have to load the maps before you go out. Now, to be 100%, in my mind, better at connectivity, turn off your Wi-Fi when you're flying. Load your map, whatever. Make sure there's no updates before you start. Go out to where you're flying, turn the Wi-Fi off. And you're not going to get any interference. If it's the only phone you use for everything, you're not going to get bombarded with Facebook, YouTube, email, whatever. Okay? There you go. Okay, next one is battery charge and life. The batteries take, if they're down like 25% or 20%, whatever, 2 hours each. It's very annoying. Okay, very annoying. No matter what you plug them into, 2 hours. Oh my God. And the radio controller, and this is Android, radio controller, maximum I've got is 3 flights. 3 flights of one battery in this, and this is ready to be recharged. Okay? One note about the radio controller. If you turn it on and you're mucking around with stuff and all this kind of stuff, 10 minutes, there'll be a warning beep telling you that you've been idle for 10 minutes. Do something. All you have to do is just do that, and it'll reset, okay? You may have seen my battery calibration that I was told to do. If you leave this sitting in anything but a cool place, it will overheat. And I actually had to get the leaf blower out or a fan to cool it down. Okay? So keeping this on for more than 10 minutes or so, it will overheat. But it does give you a warning, okay? So be careful of that. This will give you a beep. 10 minutes, got to do something, just flip it. But I can only get about 3 flights from this to 1 battery charge. What else we got here? Gimbal cover, I've already talked about that a little bit. Gimbal cover could be problematic if somebody's kind of manhandling it or they just rip it off or whatever. Be very careful, you can damage the gimbal underneath. And when you put it back on, make sure you line everything up and put it in. It doesn't take hardly any force at all. If you have to really push hard, it's not in properly. It just clicks in nice and slowly. It does fit, but you have to line everything up, okay? Oh yeah, the SD card. The SD card is underneath the battery clip. So every time you want to take your files off, you have to take the battery out to get the SD card out. Okay? And the SD card is very sensitive, so use a good one. Okay? The best one I found is a 32 gigabyte Extreme Pro or something, or Ultra, whatever, U3 or higher, whatever. Just get a good one. Okay? I do not video in 4K because it would take me 6 hours to render a 15-minute video. I just don't do it. I don't have the fastest computers, so I just don't do it. Okay. That's my revised ABC list, okay? There was a ton more, but they've revised some things and they've fixed some things, and we'll get into that in the next segment, okay? Let's get to the next one. Okay, are we ready for the wrap-up? We're ready for the wrap-up. The FIMI X8 Mini came out beginning mid-April 2021. Was being delivered, okay? It's been 4 months, okay? April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, it's been out 4 months and a bit, okay? When it first came out, I had a horrific time with it, okay? And you'll see that. And I got spoken to by FIMI, by many other people that I was too hard, I was too critical, I was cynical, I was a pessimist, I was this, that, and the other. Yeah. And then over time, people have come around to say, well, yeah, it's flawed and it needs to pull up its pants. And if you're going to compete, you got to compete. You can't rely on all the people you sell it to be a fundraiser for you or a capital investor and then work on things, but apparently that's what they did. Okay? So it was released way prematurely. But over time, with the help of, I'm assuming, many beta testers, to which I spoke to a number of them, many YouTube reviewers and influencers, and speaking with FIMI back and forth, things were changed. Again, I said over a dozen updates, and things have gotten better. Originally, there was, for me on Android, now this is Android, I was going to send this back. Week 2, I was going to send it back. Give me my money back, okay? I just didn't want the headache. And they said, sure, we'll give you your money back. Send it back to us. And I found out that in order for me to put insurance on this, just in case, and ship it back with a tracking number from Canada, was over $100. I went, that's 30%, roughly, about 30% investment, because I got in on the low end of this at $319, which that's another story. Okay? So I'd lose 30%. And I went, no, you sent one out, you've given me information that you want it back, or send it back and I'll refund your money, or send it back, we'll send you another one, but I got to pay for it. And I wasn't happy with that. And I've had connections with FIMI in the past with my X8 SE, where I know for a fact, push come to shove, that they did pay for my shipping on that one. Okay, so I wasn't happy because I've been with them before. I knew what to expect. I didn't expect what I got. I didn't want my money back. But anyway, call me crazy. So I decided not to send it back. I sent them all my black box files. They said there's nothing wrong with the drone. I said, okay, let's see where this is going. And that was the beginning of a couple of dozen videos. Okay, and after talking to tons and tons of people and investigating and doing things, it's gotten better. FIMI has gotten better. Okay, it started with the camera. The camera originally, it looked like fluorescent green. The grass here looked like fluorescent green. It was super oversaturated. A lot of the stuff wasn't implemented, wasn't started yet. It wouldn't hover properly. It would get no range. It would disconnect after maybe 100 meters. It was horrible. The one thing that did work all the time, return to home. Now I know the precision landing is a sweet spot for some people. I don't care if it works or not. I don't even have it turned on. As long as I can see it coming home and it's coming down, I cancel it and I catch it. Especially with these skis, I can just catch it. It's great, no problem at all. I don't have to worry about getting my fingers or slipping or whatever. It's great, so that's fine. Okay, and I'll put a link in the description below. They're just cheap ones. I think they're about $6, $7, whatever. Okay. Then FIMI changed the camera firmware, and it got a little better. Then they attacked the gimbal. It got a little better. Then they attacked other things. It got a little better. Then they tried again, and it got a little worse. Then it got back and forth, through over a dozen updates, to the point now where I can safely say I can take off, I can fly it where I want, I can bring it home, I can take decent video, as long as I know what limits and parameters to stay within. Remember, if you return to home and you go off, you yaw your camera left or right, it's going to start the drunken sailor. If you don't, and you just hit return to home and you path, it comes home. Okay? So I've learned its limits and I fly within it, and I have little issues other than the annoyances mentioned before. So yes, I don't mind the camera quality, I don't mind the photo quality. I'm not into the gimmicks of time lapse because they don't work. I'm not bothered with active track. I mean, you use them once or twice, then yeah, big deal, okay? For the average travel videographer that this is basically aimed at, that doesn't have to register it, doesn't have to do anything with it, you're just going to shove it in your bag, you're going to go out like a motorcycle ride, perfect. Throw it in the back, away you go, no problems at all. For a sub 250, thereabouts drone, it's light, it works great in the wind, didn't used to, does now, works great in relatively moderate wind. So I've got no complaints there, okay, other than what I mentioned, okay. It does work. It's not a bad drone. It functions pretty well the way it's supposed to, okay. What's my biggest beef with this? It's just not worth the money. It's not. And here's my list, and I'll put the list up here. Let's see now. The FIMI X8 Mini Pro. We're just talking sub 250s now, okay? So you can't go by the standard, you have to go by the Pro, okay? FIMI X8 Mini Pro, $389. One battery, you get an extra half a set of props, okay? And a controller, $389. Okay? The DJI Mini SE, which is comparable to this, except for it doesn't have 4K, big deal. It has active no-fly zones. The DJI does. This has no-fly zones according to page 13 of the manual, that it won't allow you to fly into a no-fly zone. Okay? However, I don't know if it's been implemented in all countries. Typically, what I've heard is it won't allow you to fly into red zones, but you can fly in blue zones. Okay? But predominantly here anyway, I can fly this where I can't fly my DJI Mini. Okay? I can take off and fly around, but that's a blue zone. Just one blue zone by a conservation area, a little river. I wanted to go across the river, and my DJI wouldn't let me. I had to get permission, which was no big deal. And I've got videos on that in my Mavic Mini series. Okay? So the Mavic Mini SE, $299. Okay? And it's a sub 250. The DJI Mini 2. Okay? The Mini 2, $419. That's a little rich, but it's like buying a Pontiac versus a BMW. Okay? One works as it should. One really works as it should. Okay? That's the difference, $419. So you're talking about a $30 difference, give or take. Okay? $30 difference. But the Mini SE DJI is $299. So that's almost $100 less. Then you've got the Hubsan Zino Pro. Oh my God, $499. What's the difference between the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro and the FIMI Mini? So far, and I haven't really checked this out, just by what I've heard, so far it's basically a little bit bigger sensor on the camera, okay? And it's got obstacle avoidance. So that's $100 more for obstacle avoidance and a little bit bigger sensor. I'm not sure that's worth it, okay, because I would put my Mavic Mini 2.7K camera up against many 4K cameras, okay? And the Hubsan Zino, from what I've seen, has a bit of a blue tinge to it right now, so they'll have to change that. However, that's $499. Now they'd have come out, or are coming out, with the Hubsan Zino Mini SE, and that's $349. And the SE has the same sensor, basically the same thing. That will be a direct comparison to this. And it's listing now at $349, okay? Here's another thing to look at, and all the prices are up here. Say you crash your drone, whatever, okay? And you didn't buy the premium care. Now originally you could buy premium care insurance on this, but it was only good in Spain. I don't know how it works now, but generally insurance is only good for one thing. It's like the house in gambling. They always win, okay? It's not a deal. It's not a deal. And I'll get into that later with the Hubsan, okay? But anyway, so you crash your drone or you run over with a car or whatever. Anyway, for whatever reason, you've got to buy another shell. So you need to buy another drone, just the drone. Not the battery, just the drone with propellers, just like this, with no battery. $289. You need a battery. If you lost it and you don't have premium care, you've lost it, whatever, you want to buy another one, the battery's $50 for the Pro, about $50, I think, okay? So that's $330. So you can buy a new one for $389 with a controller, and $330 if you just want to buy the shell. Doesn't make sense. And I've said this before, the FIMI X8 Mini Pro should be maximum that $289, complete kit. And the standard, $250. Better yet, should be $250 or less, okay? But we shall see. The Hubsan Mini SE is starting out at $349, but the DJI SE is $299. So, yeah, maybe the sweet spot is $299. Don't know. But definitely a lot of the automated flight modes on this, you'll use once or twice and that'll be it. I like Orbit. Orbit's nice and smooth, but you know, use it once or twice, that's it. Majority of the time when you use this, you're going to go out flying, look around, come back, take a little video. It's not a professional drone, okay? It's not locked in. If you hover there, or you're flying and you want to take a shot, it will, and you'll see that in the video, it will go up and down, okay? And it will move slightly, and you'll see that, okay? It's not rock solid. So it's not professional by any means, okay? So that's about it, okay? So let's do a complete final conclusion. Here we are, the finale, again, with the thumbnail. Is it the seed of life? Is it going to be proven to be the best thing since sliced bread? Is it going into the ground or coming out of the ground? Is Hubsan already there? Again? Or is it a germination failure? Okay? Some people have had horrific times with this. Connectivity, distance, you name it. Okay? Can't get one to work. Returned it 2-3 times. I've had, I guess what you'd say, relative success. Okay? It's by any means not perfect, relative success. And I put that down mainly in my mind to every time there's an update, okay, especially for the app, okay, don't copy on top of a copy on top of a copy, okay? Remove everything from your phone regarding FIMI. The app, the folders, everything. Restart your phone, nothing. Get the box, scan the code, install the app again, every time. Every time there's an update for the drone, okay? Update, restart the drone, recalibrate everything. Look at the menus, because by default, it changes a lot of them. It changes the values, it changes your return to home height, it changes your total distance, it changes. Go through it, find out what it changes, okay? Again, I've had relative success, but I've done a lot of due diligence, a lot of headaches, a lot of emails, a lot back and forth. And a consumer should not have to do that. Should not have to do that, okay? Out of the box, it's a very steep learning curve. The instructions are just not there. There's no video tutorials. There's no help immediate. And you're relying on YouTube, Facebook, friends, others to help you along the way, okay? So, in the end, what do I give this? Score out of 10? I probably give it a 7. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just an awkward drone to get right, okay? And yet, we've said this with the Zinos originally when they came out, they were horrific and horrible, and I made a satirical video about meatloaf and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of funny, and I kind of reposted it thinking it would be funny with the FIMI and with the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. But yeah, and that's the thing with Hubsan, Zino, FIMI, that's the problem with these companies. They're just not user-friendly, okay? Hubsan's doing a great job now, or a better job, with their promotion of the Hubsan Mini Pro, or Zino Mini Pro, but $499? Wow. That's a kicker, that is. That's a kicker. That really is, okay? So anyway, yeah, it's not bad. Not great, but it's not bad, okay? If they brought it down to that $289 all-inclusive, it wouldn't be bad, because you've got you don't have the no-fly zone issue. It's got a decent camera, but I don't know. DJI SE $299, pretty hard to beat. Pretty hard to beat. Okay, so I can see some flash sales coming on this, especially in Christmas. Or are they going to come out with the X8 Mini Pro? Who knows? Right now, this is going back in here. The wire's going back. We're going to take off. We're going to close the lid here. And close this up if we can get it to fold properly. We're going to put it in the case, nice and gentle, so it fits properly. I put this in there. We're going to zip it up. And we're going to take note of our thumbnail. What do you think? Can't wait for the next one. Let's go.